I hope you packed your sunscreen. We're in blisteringly hot Queensland for stage 3 of the SuperFoiler Grand Prix here on the Gold Coast. Behind me, surfer's paradise. In front of me, not quite a sailor's paradise, given there are huge sandbars and also, Jimmy, the odd shark sighting.
Yeah, Nick, we've got a fast and short racetrack here, so I know the sailors are stoked and up for the challenge. There's been some big improvements made recently, and I know we're going to see tight racing, so I can't wait to see them out there.
Absolutely. Our stage yesterday was very tight indeed. Plenty of improvements on the track. As our sailors proved, Euroflex wasn't invincible after all. Day one in the third leg of the SuperFoiler Grand Prix circuit, and there was no treasure at the end of Pavement's Gold Coast Rainbow.
Get on the radio, tell me hit the bottom.
Steve Thomas and the boys dashed in the race opener, a damaged board denying them more.
As a team Pavement, we are sails down and ashore. We're just going to try and get off the racetrack.
No such problems for Euroflex. Nathan Outeridge, Ian Jensen and Glenn Ashby chalking up their sweet 16th of the series.
So we're finished. Yeah. So you want to stop or keep going?
But it was Clean-Made cleaning up on the Broadwater. Olivia Price, Josh McKnight and Harry Morton with second place, their top gong of the series.
Yeah, all right, that was fucking adapting, right?
Race 2 and Tech 2 nibbled off more than they could chew. Penalised at the start and still kicking themselves after racing.
Yeah, today we couldn't start a lawnmower. We're last off every start, I think.
In contrast, Record Point did launch well in the second.
Straight into tech, go board. Happy for board. Go, ready, big trips. Go, boys, go.
The fastest race yet, 30 knots with change, before a clumsy moment left the dark horse in the shade of the Blue Monster.
Board, lower board, lower board. Oh, no good.
That sort of let us by, and I'm sure that's two that we've won through other people's mistakes, and they'll just get better and better, and we won't get those ones.
In the final fling, Euroflex again mopped up at the front as Phil Robertson roared in front of his family and friends.
Here we go.
Who had journeyed from Sweden and New Zealand. Plenty for them to cheer about.
Yeah, we felt good. Felt like the boat was getting in a different mode and had a few little technical problems on board, but it was actually working in our favour.
Record Point en route to another second place. Taking a look at our regatta leaderboard now, Euroflex with another clean sweep, bagging 18 points. Behind them, Record Point, another Good Friday session, they're on 13, and just a point behind them, Tech 2. But Jimmy, the big standout from our first day of racing was the Clean-Made.
Yeah, for sure. Clean-Made really got the regatta off on the right foot. We know they love the short racetrack, so it's going to be really exciting to see what they pull out of the bag today.
Yes, it is a short racetrack. Plenty of good speed eked out of these machines yesterday. Let's find out if we can expect the same kind of conditions. Let's head to Jack.
G'day, Nick. Yeah, out on the beautiful Gold Coast waters. It's a stunning afternoon out here. A very tricky waterway to sail on. We've got about 3 knots of current flooding under the boat as we speak, which is going to really test the boats and the crews today. We've got a lovely 12 to 15 knot southeasterly breeze, and the boats can expect a lot of action. It's just stunning out here. Lots of spectators, lots of bikinis. Pretty good to be here, Tricky Nicky.
Jack, it's great to be here and watching some stunning scenery whiz past us. A lot of current there, Jimmy Wazbowski.
Yeah, look, that could play a big factor today. It's going to be really important that the teams get that right. There's a lot of channels and a lot of sandbars out on the racetrack, so that's going to affect how fast that tide flows. Everyone's pretty new to this racetrack. I don't think anybody has ever raced here before, so no one's got any inside knowledge. It's going to be interesting to see what they can find out.
It was a spectacular sight yesterday just to see the water police clear the track for us. They had about 5 guys on jet skis whizzing around. It's not often you get to shut down a major waterway to watch the best athletes in their field race, and we are blessed with some beautiful skies overhead to do exactly that today, Jimmy.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing here. You can see this is exactly why we've come here. The sun's out, the breeze is in, and yeah, we're going to have a big deal trying to keep the spectators off the course and keep them far enough away from the boats. But, that's what it's all about, getting everyone close into the action, and everyone's can't wait to see these boats fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so good to see that Pavement are back on there. Jack, what's the weather like?
The weather down here, Nick, it's stunning. The sun's shining. We've got 12 to 15 knots from the southeast in the breeze, and the 3 knots of current running under the boat. So lovely conditions, very testing for the crews. And we've got about 2 minutes before the start right now.
A great reminder of why they call this part of Queensland the Gold Coast, because it is absolutely golden overhead today, and so far so good as per the spectator boats keeping their distance. Now, I was lucky enough to be out on the water with a few of the skippers earlier in the week, and there was a shark sighting, and we had our shore crew also spy a shark drifting around. Would that be on the sailors' minds today, Jimmy?
Yeah, I think so. We do love to G out the guys from overseas, and they do know that if it moves, it'll kill you in Australia. So they're all going to have their toes in the boat, I think.
Absolutely. Everything called inside as we see the craft start to come together. 45 seconds less than that now from the start of our first race.
Interesting to see the boats starting to rack up here. Everyone's going to start to get on starboard here and trying to get out on that favoured tack. But we see a few boats there hanging around on port. 24 seconds to go, so we could see an early split from the fleet here. It's going to be interesting to see who can pull this off. Everyone seems a little late and jittery.
Not yet. The start here, which is going to cause some havoc.
Let's go racing.
Whole fleet on port here. 10 seconds to go. You can see the checkered buoy in the middle of the screen. That's one end. And the orange flag on this start boat at the bottom, that's the other. So big slingshot start here from the teams.
And I wonder if ID's crept over the line there. They had a horrible first day, but so far so good from them, thankfully, on the first leg, as Record Point, Tech 2 and ID sweep the field, and Pavement coming to the party late today.
I think there is an OCS there. You can see Pavement are possibly just late to that start there, but I think Tech 2 might have been over. We're going to need to see a close replay on that. Not sure there, but the OCS flag is definitely up.
Jack, any thoughts as to who's crept over the line early there?
My initial thoughts were it was ID, but I'm not too sure, Nick.
What's happening with Pavement? It looks like they're in a bit of trouble. Have they clipped something?
No, they were just late for the start, so they've gone down to do a jibe and get around the start mark, and it looks like they're just in irons at the moment.
Yeah, we're seeing some pickies of Steve Thomas and the gang tangling with the start-finishing marker, unfortunately for them. Their day yesterday was bad, and it looks like it's just gone from bad to worse, Jimmy.
Yeah, an absolute shocker there. You could see Pavement. They were late to the start, rushing to get back, bit of fever on board, and all they had to do was a U-turn around that buoy. And you know those rudders, they come down off the boat, the big T rudder on the bottom there, and it's so easy to catch a mark, and they're completely chicken-winged up there. They're not going anywhere. Who's that? Reese Maher in the water, getting it off.
I thought it might have been our new man on board, but they've sent Reese in, and one of the guys, it looks like it's Damo lending a hand to get them untangled there, is it? Oh, that is just such a bad start. We've all been there. You're running late to the party, you push a little hard, and all of a sudden the champagne cork goes off and hits the roof. It's terrible. Sometimes you just got to slow down, take it easy, and we can see they're already 500 metres behind, 5 football fields. Oh, this race, you can almost throw it in the dustbin there for Steve Thomas.
Yeah, no one's waiting around. The young guy, Lockie Gilmore, new inclusion to the Pavement team at this event. He's 21 years of age, one of the youngest on the circuit, and that's a classic nipper in the water, straight up, get the rope off the rudder.
It's like, hey, rookie, guess what? You're in untangling. We know about the sharks on the Gold Coast. You're going to have to be a bit of bait for us while we get untangled, as we take a look and see that Euroflex is opening up a nice little lead, but Tech 2 and ID Intranet in stalking distance. A great start from them after a tricky opening day.
Interesting here up the top of the course, we've got the one white mark on your screen there, and that's our top mark. So it's going to be a starboard rounding around that, and looks like Euroflex minimising manoeuvres, and they're on ley line. Really tight here, you can see it's very puffy. Some boats falling, some not.
And I can tell you that is probably the more shallow side of the racetrack there. There is not much room for error, and it's no surprise to see the maestro himself thread the needle there, as we've got more trouble with these markers. Jimmy, what's in the water today?
Number 2, here we go, ID, Paul Campbell-James. He had a few frustrating moments yesterday, and this is the tide, Nick. This is 3 knots of tide pushing them up the course, and it's absolutely wreaking havoc on the course. It's just sweeping them over those marks. Usually they would have enough room. As they turn, the tide is just sweeping them onto them, and the worst thing about that is, as you can see, it makes it so hard to get off. The boat's just being dragged onto that buoy.
And it looks like Fang's trying to kick the buoy out of the stern, which is a shocking result for ID Intranet. They were looking so very good. And surprise, surprise, capitalising on their demise, it's Euroflex.
Yeah, Nate's got it absolutely dialed here on the Euroflex. He's up on the foils. Everyone's falling over around him here a little bit. Oh, and there you go, Tech 2 struggling with the bear away. Leeward hull completely under, so close to a capsize there.
Gee, that was within a whisker, wasn't
Plenty
it,
of
Jimmy?
racing
There
here, guys.
seems to be a great deal of difficulty
speed.
out there. Jack, what's going on? Why is everyone at 6s and 7s out there?
Nick, there's plenty of current, and the current's the cause of a lot of the action. And the Tech 2 guys just tried to bear away, and their leeward board popped up, and that was why their leeward float went underwater. So plenty happening. It's just there's a lot of current running down here, so it's very, very tricky conditions.
Oh, as we see, God. Coops is having a horrible time. He's gone for a swim and he's actually let go there. He can practically walk to the sandbar from there, but he was in trouble and he decided to just bail out, Jimmy.
Yes, super gnarly situation, that one. You can see there's those appendages hanging down, the rudder and the centreboard, and your worst nightmare is coming off the boat and hitting one of them. So now Nath, he's got to try and get back down in, try and pick him up. Hopefully the pro guarding guys can whip him onto a jet ski, and they're just going to keep racing here, but that was incredibly close. I can't believe how he was just hanging on there and luckily picked the right moment to let go, picked the right moment to get away from the boat.
And this is not something you see every day from the Euroflex gang. I mean, they are usually scientifically precise. You half expect to see a Bunsen burner and a beaker on board. That's how clinical they are. And, I mean, that's how good they are, I guess, really, too. They've still got a nearly 80-metre cushion over the chasing pack.
Yeah, so usually we wouldn't see the current affecting the boats this much, but 3 knots doesn't sound like much, but it is a lot of tide. So much current going one way up the track, and half the time it's dragging you sideways, half the time you're just punching into it. So it's going to have a massive effect, and you can see Phil Robertson making good gains down the course here. 2 foils down, just crashing off the foils there. Nath Jobs onto port, and he's going to be across, but some good battles up the track as well as the boats Tech 2 and ID really close in the battle there, and Olivia Price on clean made in third. Solid results, keep it simple, get the boat around the track.
Yeah, it's very unusual to see Goobs. He was hanging on like sliced alone in cliffhanger there for as long as he possibly could, but eventually he just said, nah, this is not the kind of ride I want to be on. The Gold Coast is known for their water parks. Not that one. That could be a new attraction, Jimmy.
Yeah, that was a gnarly ride, that one for sure, and here we go. You can see Phil trying to get a piece of him as they come into the bottom gate, and we do have a bottom gate here. It's 1 mark at the top, 2 down the bottom, so here's a big decision. Do you go left or right? And you can see if you get down speed there, Euroflex barely able to get around that mark. These boats, when they come off the foils, they're like glue, and with this tide playing into that as well, they're going to be even stickier trying to get onto the foils if they've fallen off.
This is great to see for Phil Robertson and the gang on Record Point. They really mustered some serious missiles in the direction of Euroflex yesterday, and today they're doing the exact same thing. Phil Robertson will just want to go one better, and it is a very special regatta for Phil, Jimmy, given his family are watching him for only the 2nd time in his professional career. The last time in 2012.
Yeah, it is tough. We do spend a lot of time racing all over the globe, and to get an event close to your hometown is a good one to get the family out to. You can see Phil, he's doing really well here. I'd say probably in the fleet he's got the most stadium-style racing, this boundary racing you see here. He's possibly got the most experience of anyone on these racetracks, so he's going to play that to his advantage, and he's going to pull a few out of the bag here, I think.
Yeah, riding on board now with the guys on Tech 2, and they had another tricky day yesterday. They'll be looking to kick back and enjoy themselves like our punters are on the sandbar. Their best view in the house, and they've certainly had a lot of things to try and wrap their heads around while our machines were wrapping themselves around markers.
Yeah, really tough here. You can see Euroflex trying to get out to the right, and I think Phil on Record Point has actually gotten out to the left where Euroflex made that gain last time. So interesting to see how he comes back here.
As we saw Pavement come by, she hasn't surrendered anything, looking to roar back into the contest as everyone is looking to close in on the dream team here. Nathan Outeridge will just be keeping a steady hand on that tiller, looking to do what he knows they do so well. But even a little ratchety from them today.
Yeah, it's a little off today, you know, flying these boats. You are kind of like a pilot, and with this tide out there, you just like having a lot of turbulence. So a lot of things to shake it up, and we're going to see some surprises here, like you saw there already with Gooby falling off the boat. Very uncharacteristic. I'm sure that doesn't happen very often. Often it's Nathan coming off the boat in previous history, but they've getting it more locked in here, and and Phil with the pedal down on the chase.
Oh, this is something special, isn't it? They really are taking the fight to the guys aboard Euroflex, the America's Cup Dream Team, they're calling them. Of course, Nathan Outeridge, the helm aboard Artemis, and, Glenn Ashby, he's an America's Cup winner, so they'll be dialing in all that experience at the moment as they race towards the break wall. It's so narrow here, Jimmy. It's crazy.
Yeah, they must be doing 4 or 5 tacks up these beats, and as you know, that tide is even helping them upwind, so that's making it, should be making it even less manoeuvres and easier. You can see Euroflex, they've tacked on the ley line, and they're actually going to be coming in really hot. ID, Paul Campbell-James, is still in trouble from that top mark. He's possibly still attached to the buoy. He's got some kind of issues. Euroflex going to have to go around him here.
Well, that's going to really hurt Paul Campbell-James. That's the drive-by, isn't it? Just letting them know what they're missing out on a contest, because they are parked and they've got to pay the toll as Euroflex really start to open up her legs now, galloping forward.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be tough for the guys on ID to watch those guys just fly on by, and hopefully they're back in action for the next race. Record point, 125 metres behind. Be interesting to see what they can make of this downwind, and you can see that shot there. The boat's drifting left to right on your screen as they try and go downwind. That's the same direction the current's going, left to right at 3 knots, which is a massive amount of current.
Yeah, it's a furious current at the moment, and good to see Record Point putting on a show for the friends and family. Jack, what have you got?
Oh, plenty of action down here, Nick. We're just cruising up the course with Tech 2 and the Clean Mate, both doing an excellent job, but really treacherous with this extra tide running out of the course. It's just making the sailors harder, but everyone's doing a great job. And as you said, to see the ID guys stuck on the top mark because they're due for some good luck.
Yeah, they sure are. It's mayhem out there, Jack. What about Clean Mate? Has she got a chance here in terms of leaping Record Point as well?
They're not far behind, I would say. They're about 30 seconds behind. Very close battle with them in Tech 2. Very close cross with them at the moment. As we speak, it looks like they're going to almost capsize. Oh, it's close.
They'll be furious about that one. There was yelling galore.
Sorry.
And already some apologies being offered.
No idea where this mark is.
Olivia's flying blind from the sounds of things. She doesn't know where the mark is. Could we have another tangle? Surely not.
Yeah, so a bit of fever there. Olivia Price struggling to get under Tech 2, who had rights and starboard there. You see Luke Parkinson on Tech 2 trying to get the boat up on the foils here for the rounding.
It's fucking stuck under here.
Yep.
Bearing away.
Not far for drive.
1.
3.
Got it.
Okay, this is the one person out, John.
Yeah, we're coming up to a boundary. Get in. No, I need you in.
Mine.
Diving.
Bring the main across.
Plenty happening on Clean Mate there in that rounding. You can see how one mistake just snowballs in these races with the boundaries so close to racing so tight. You know, one mistake just snowballs, it gets worse and worse, and that's where the good skippers will really separate themselves here, is the level head trying to clear their wind and just get the boat going. Just forget about the other boats for a moment and just sail your own race.
Jack, we're hearing there's no top mark. What's happened there?
I think as a result of ID catching the top mark, they may have had to let the chain and rope go. So I'm not too sure, but I can't see it at the moment. So it'll have to be fixed for the next race.
Nothing like a bit of drama. We're only 5 legs into our first race of 3 slated for the program. Absolutely amazing stuff.
Yeah, an amazing shot there. You can see the rough water and you can see the flat water. That rough water is the tide line, so there'll be significantly more current where you see that choppy water and less where you see it flat. So that top mark rounding is right in the most treacherous part of water there as they're trying to rip the boats away.
Okay, yeah, out.
Taking it right to the edge of our race course there, flirting with danger, Tech 2, right next to the spectator craft, and there's a reason they're there and not even further in, and that is just a depth issue. These boats need about 2.5 metres worth of clearance, and on the other side of that exclusion zone it goes down to about about 2 metres and then drops off even shallower than that. It's crazy as we see Tech 2 ripping it forward. Euroflex already on her way home.
Yeah, look, you could probably stay on a foot of water if you could keep the boat foiling right up on the tips, but I tell you what, you wouldn't want to be foiling any lower than that. You can see Record Point here doing a really good job in second. They're really going to want to lock this result in here. Euroflex starting to pull away a little bit. Not over yet, though, and Tech 2, Luke Parkinson getting another good race. He's trying to lock in another third here. Only about 150 metres behind Record Point, so still close to that race for second, and you can see Pavement and Cleanmade. Cleanmade starting to have those mistakes and that lead's really dropping away from Pavement there.
Well, frustratingly for Record Point, they are putting in such a good effort here as Tech 2, but we're hearing the race may have actually been red flagged. It may have been abandoned due to all the chaos, due to the no top marker. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and I mean, surely at some stage, Jimmy, sanity has to prevail.
Oh, it's absolute carnage here at the moment. We need to get the safety car out there, but the teams are still battling away. They won't know that just yet, so they'll get an indication at the top of the bottom mark, and we're going to see everyone still racing full noise until they get that official statement or flag raised at the mark to indicate what the status of the race is.
That's assuming there is still a bottom marker. I'm sure we've got a couple of more minutes for one of the machines to take it out in spectacular fashion.
Yeah, we're going to need some more rope and chain today, I think.
And Record Point clearly unsure as to whether or not the race begins in earnest, but even important psychologically for her to let Euroflex know that she is in stalking distance and will pounce on any mistake. And this is great to see. Pavement as well. Steve Thomas and the boys late to the party, but making their presence felt with some enthusiastic moves on the dance floor.
Yeah, I'm sure they thought their race was over from that start line incident, but, you know, there's so much happens in this racing and it's never over until the fat lady sings, so they're going to have their foot on the gas and they might be able to get a couple of results back here.
Well, it's not over until the fat lady sings, but our skinny man on the side might have something to say about it. Jack?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I think it has been abandoned here, and so what happens in this case is that they'll go to the last mark rounding where the boats were and they'll take the results from that. So I think the results will be either taken from the bottom or the top gate previous, and so in that situation I think he will see Euroflex still with that first place, Record Point second, and Tech 2, Luke Parkinson getting into the third place there.
Jack, try and decipher the chaos for us, please.
Yeah, so I'm just turtling down to the start boat now, but the race has been officially abandoned. There are no finishes whatsoever. Essentially, the conditions down at the southern end of the course, the top mark, if you like, is just too treacherous. So I'm going down to speak to the water police now, just to see what they've got in store and maybe a slight adjustment of the course.
And Jack, obviously it is treacherous out there, but from the best of my knowledge, everyone's okay and under control.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. Everyone's getting around. There's been a few tense moments, no doubt, but no, everyone's okay. It's just about making sure that the course doesn't push the boats into bad areas. So that's what we're going to go down and sort out now.
There are always some tense moments when Jack McCartney's behind the wheel. I speak from experience there as we see the Gold Coast skyline there, Surfers Paradise, a beautiful place to visit. And so many of these boats have probably come from further afield, maybe even as far as Brizzy or Stradbroke Island to witness the best athletes in the world do their thing. And that was just a little entree, Jimmy.
Yeah, such a cool place to race and such a cool place to be around the water and amongst it all. And we saw earlier some boats rafted up on the sandbar there and everyone's sort of staking their spot to watch the racing. So we'll just send the safety car out, clean up the racetrack, and I'm sure it'll be back underway in no time.
Yeah, get rid of some of the debris. There was a fair amount of carnage there as we see the sandbar where we were standing almost submerged now. The tide's really moving quickly. And checking in on the standings after round two, this is, of course, following our great regatta in Geelong. Euroflex extended their unbeaten run and, of course, added to their clean sweep of Adelaide. They're on 12. Pavement not far behind on 9. They've had 2 podium finishes there. Tech 2, what a comeback from them. You'll recall, Jimmy, they were even racing the clock just to make the Geelong start line. They'll be thrilled to bits to be on 6 alongside ID Intranet, who missed virtually all of the last day's racing due to some issues there. They're also on 6, and this gives you an idea of how close we really are. Taking a look at Record Point and Cleanmade, both on 5 apiece. So this is our overall leaderboard, of course. 6 points on offer for every craft if you do win, working our way through as we see how windy it is, looking at a kite inflate with air there.
Yeah, the breeze has just kicked up a little bit more and a little bit of sea breeze effect coming in now, so the boats can counter for this. We've got 2 mainsails that we can choose from. There's a big main and a small main, and the race officer on the committee boat there, he can decide which main they'll use. So we may see a switch to the smaller mainsail, and there's also 2 jibs, but that's up to the crews. That's their choice. Do they want the big jib or the small jib? So a smaller adjustment in power there, but interesting to see what configuration they go for here.
What a playground the Gold Coast is, and we're getting an idea of the marine playground here as well. So many fabulous spots to park your boat and get out and watch some racing. And well, Surfers Paradise got some really tall residential buildings, some wonderful restaurants on the glitter strip they call it, and plenty of off-water activities there as well, and quite a nice marina there as well. So a really nice place to come and play with your boat, Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got an ex-tropical cyclone off the coast at the moment, and I've heard that there's one of the swells of the year about to hit. So I think tomorrow morning some of these guys will be trying to find a surfboard and get out there as well. Such a cool place to be at that time of the year when, you know, the swell's pumping, the sun's out. It's just absolutely amazing up here.
Yeah, the surfers absolutely love the swells that rip along the east coast of Australia. There's a big one rolling in. Maybe some of it infiltrated the waterway there because it was choppy and chaotic. So much so that we're still trying to decipher exactly how points will be divvied up in that last race. I believe there will be a countback, Jimmy, something to do with an earlier lap. The standings there, positioning our way through, sort of raindrop falling through. But already I'm turning my attention into the nighttime activities on offer perhaps for the Gold Coast following the racing. So far, not too much to celebrate for the ID boys. Another tough day for them, but knowing Paul Campbell-James and Ed Powys, I'll imagine they'll find some time to let off some steam.
Yeah, I'm sure they're looking forward to the end of the event. The stress will be pretty high right now, a bit of fever on the boat, but yeah, they're just going to try and lock it down right now, and there's obviously a lot of fever out on the track, people trying to get all their areas sorted, and you know, this is where, like, when you hit those marks or you think you might have had a little bit of damage, you can do a full check over the boat, make sure it's seaworthy, make sure it's going to fly and not crash out of the sky. So we're going to be checking their rudders, checking their main foils, and all the systems are working. The electronics on the foils are all in order, and that the boat's 100% ready, because we're into the second day now. You can't start the next race and have these failures. Your boat's got to be absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it's got to be purring at this stage, and someone who will be making sure that that is the case is our own Cam Bailey. He's the launch pad lieutenant, the man that's responsible for making sure all the boats are humming along nicely, and he's got some serious credentials when it comes to sailing. He's looked after the Wild Oats stable for a very long time, and we know the success they've had in no small part at the Sydney to Hobart, and the Transpac race also is, of course, to a lot of Cam Bailey's expertise. So it's great to have him joining the circuit. Although this is his second day, he'll be seriously considering what he's got himself into here after that one.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been thrown in the deep end here, taken over from Tyson Lamond, who's got a lot of America's Cup experience, and yeah, there's plenty going on right now, and he's going to be getting everything in order on the shore and making sure these boats can come back at the end of the day and sail the next.
Yeah, and Tyson obviously leaving us for the birth of his second child. A super exciting time for him. And Tyson, I know he's addicted to the SuperFoiler. He's probably watching. All the best. Hope that unfolds well for you. Speaking about family, we've already touched on Phil Robertson, a special time for him. His partner Sarah has travelled out to watch him from Gothenburg in Sweden. It was about 1 degree when she left, and she'll be loving the Gold Coast, the sunshine already. I wonder if she's watching any racing and cheering Phil on, or if she's just soaking up the sun. What do you reckon, Jimmy? You know her.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure she loves to escape the Swedish winter, as does Phil, for a few weeks to get down to Australia, and yeah, she'll be soaking it up for sure, but she'll be a little bit nervous for the boys at the moment, and I'm sure she's out there watching.
Yeah, I mean, there are worse places to get here than from Gothenburg than the Gold Coast, no doubt about that. There's plenty of things you can do to enjoy yourself, and also I was astounded to hear that Phil's parents, Cherry, his mum, has only seen him race live twice. This is only the second time, 2012 the last time.
Yeah, it's amazing that. Yeah, it can be super hard to get out to regattas, and the way that the schedules work, you know, often there's no free time for the sailors. They're often into countries and straight back out again. So good to see that they're out here and they can get close to the action and see all the racing.
Well, you wouldn't be able to get any closer to the action than we are today. So many spectator craft respectfully observing the marine outline here. But certainly in the thick of the action. I saw a shot earlier of our VIP boat, and it looked like everyone was on the sun deck, sunning themselves, soaking it in, enjoying the experience and enjoying the opportunity to get to see these athletes up close and personal, including obviously the very international crew that we can see there on record point. Neil Hunter, of course, from Scotland, a BAR sailor in the America's Cup. He's relishing his time there alongside Phil, a Kiwi, a former teammate of yours, and then Sam, a Victorian too. So a real international flavour there for record point.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a rare opportunity for us in Australia to see racing like this and the foiling racing. And as you know by the sailors that we have competing here, we do have some of the best sailors in the world. We always have great postings at the Olympic Games and awesome results throughout the America's Cup. You know, we're involved in so many teams, and this is such a great way to bring the sport back to Australia. Often we're starved to it. We don't get enough. Our sailors are so good and so talented, and it's great to just be able to bring it home.
And I can tell you're starved of a surfboard right now, Jimmy. Looking at these shots, you'd love waxing it up and going out for a ride. This is a great swell. How frustrating is it looking at that, knowing that you've got to hold tight and stay dry for a bit longer?
Yeah, it was hard flying in this morning and just seeing the swells stacked to the horizon. It's going to be an awesome time over the Gold Coast, and I was looking forward to sailing and surfing here, but yeah, not able to do either at the moment.
And how is the knee coming along, obviously? It's mending nicely?
Yeah, getting better every day and just doing everything I can to get it back out there as soon as I can, and yeah, everything's going to be fine, just a few more weeks.
It probably didn't help that I took you out onto the sandbank today and you were sort of sinking in there. That really tested it out. I'm sure the physio was having heart palpitations at the thought of that.
Yeah, hopefully my physio John's not watching, but no, that's all good. The knee's getting all stable again, so yeah, that'll be fine.
Hopefully John is watching. We need the numbers, Jimmy. Tune in, John, and if you are watching, John, and anyone else, make sure you do download the SuperFoiler application. We've done an awesome job bringing together some facts and figures. Jimmy, you were checking it out before. What's your favourite thing about the new app, the SuperFoiler app?
Yeah, it runs super well. You know, it keeps you up to date with all the results, and they're just posting the results live on there. You know, really easy way to keep up to date and get all the inside photos and the blogs from the race teams. Yeah, really handy. They've done that together well.
They sure have. And looking at these shots, it makes me wonder what kind of fishing would be around here. I wonder if you could wet a line and pick anything out. I'm not talking about sharks, obviously. Something a little bit more edible, perhaps.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure what's out there, but you know, I'm sure there is definitely some good fishing around. You know, you can see so much current coming in from offshore there, and so much tidal movement. You know, these sandbanks are always changing. It looks like a great spot.
It sure is a great spot to take in some sailing as our race officials ready the race course for our second race of the day. Slated for 3 today, Jimmy. Plenty of action, and if it's anything like our Friday session, we could see some smoking hot times throughout the whole weekend, but particularly today.
Yeah, for sure. It is such awesome weather here. You can see a few foiling kite surfers out there. They're loving it. Such an amazing spot. You know, a bit of parasailing. Everything's happening here. And yeah, the race marshals, the pro gutting guys, are going to have a tough job keeping them off the course. It's such a popular area to be out there with your boat. That shot's just awesome, foiling kite surf. You know, they don't need barely any wind to get up, and it's such a great example of how efficient, you know, hydrofoiling is and how much it's changed the sport. You know, it was developed in sailing, and now it just filters down through all the sports. You see the surfers now foil surfing and foil kiting, foil windsurfing, any form of sport on the water, and you know, you just plug a foil on and off you go. And
away you fly, and getting an idea of just how many spectator crafts there are outside on the waters of the Gold Coast today. A thrilling effort from the people of Queensland. They do love their sport up here, and they're really doing a great job lining both sides of our track. And that's a great shot to give you an idea of just how narrow it is. There's not too many boat lengths there, and thankfully these spectator crafts are almost forming a safety net from our sailors, saying no further than that, it's way too shallow from you on the inside of that.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing a good job marking it out, and we're going to see a lot of the same tactics here that we saw in Adelaide. So this is that short boundary racing where the sailors really have to change their mentality. They learned a lot of lessons from Geelong, where they really had a bit more racetracking, could put the throttle down for a longer period of time, but they've taken those lessons and they've got to put them in their back pocket. They've got to keep them for Busselton. So they're going to go back and watch the footage from Adelaide that short racing in the channel there, and that's where they're going to take all their lessons from to put into practice here. There's much similar racetracks. This is where we're going to see a lot of that two-board sailing, converting that VMG, getting down the racetrack.
And we can see Bill's father, Jack, there working the microphone like father, like son. And plenty of red hats. That's the Tech 2, some of the Tech 2 sponsors out there enjoying the spectacle today. And there were a lot of ID sailors there in Geelong as well, and supporters. So that it's the best seat in the house. If you're here live, you really get a feel for exactly how it all unfolds, and what a delight it is to be on top of a boat watching the finest do their thing.
Yeah, amazing way to watch the racing and really get amongst it all there. You get so close. Sometimes the boat's passing within a boat length. Sometimes having to go around the VIP boat, which is sometimes a little too close for comfort. But yeah, awesome way to spectate the racing. And here you can see you've got 5 of the boats in picture, and you can just see the 6th there. And I hope that Paul Campbell-James and ID has got no damage on the boat, no damage to the systems. The foil control is electronic. It is somewhat delicate and somewhat bulletproof. You know, it works very well in some ways, but can be just tweaked the wrong way, and we can have a failure there. So hopefully all that's working and up to speed for those guys in the next race. We've got Barry who worked with Team New Zealand, did the famous wing control that you saw Glenn Ashby playing with in the America's Cup. So Barry's in charge of all our electronics. Does an unbelievable job that we can flip these boats upside down for 20-30 minutes, pull them back upright, and yeah, electronics are all good to go again. So we've got the best in the business working on these boats and making sure that they're going to sail every race.
Yeah, Baz does a great job, and so does Reece Talby as well, working together. They do a fantastic job with these machines. As we look at our provisional results here, Jimmy, and Euroflex with the spoils ahead of record point. They have had such a good time here on the Gold Coast. Cleanmate again punching higher up that leaderboard. Tech 2 in 4th. Pavement doing really well after being so sluggish to the start line. And CJ's misery continues. He will be spinning chips, but expect that to galvanise him in the next race. He's not going to want to see his machine with nearly a 10-minute tail to the front runners Euroflex. That will irritate him as much as Cleanmate will be enjoying their display so far.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's happened there is they've taken those results from the previous gate mark rounding, and you can see, yeah, Phil Robertson record point within 10 seconds of the Euroflex there, so Titan. And I think the surprise packet there is we saw Pavement struggle to get over the line in the first instance, and I'm sure they wrote themselves off for that race, but, you know, the bigger mistake made by CJ on ID up the top, and Pavement snuck through, so they've converted a 6 into a 5, which is good for them. And Olivia backing up her second from yesterday with a 3rd there, so that's going to put her in good stead going to the next race.
So much confidence required to sail these machines fast, and someone not lacking confidence is Stevie Thomas there. He's really got this team purring, and there is a new man on the front as well that you've mentioned, filling in for Dan Morris, who's unfortunately for him, he's in the Caribbean this week. Gosh, it's tough being a pro sailor, Jimmy.
Yeah, so Dan back to the homeland for a race up there, but yeah, filled in with a super capable Lockie Gilmore, a very, very talented match racer and 49er sailor. And you can see there the boats at the moment, they're actually not the most comfortable boats between races, so they've got this dihedral in the platform, so it's not flat from the outer hull to the other side. You can see there's a bit of that curve, and it's like a trimaran, rocks from one hull to the other. So quite often you see all these sailors standing up just like a 49er, trying to manage the boat, manage the heel, and keep the boat just tracking nicely, because they can be a handful at low speed.
Jimmy, I failed beginner's maths at school. What's a trihedral for those that don't know?
The dihedral in the platform, it's a bit of a aeronautical term, and it just refers to how those outer hull floats sit up above that centre hull. So very sort of cutting edge engineering there, and one of the reasons why these boats look so cool, they go so fast, it's just that odd shaped platform, which is often hard to see from this angle, but you can always see it's down on those 2 hulls and never 3 hulls in the water at once there at low speed.
And no surprise to see them borrowing from the aeronautics industry, because they really are all about, it's about flying. So there's a lot of similarities between these machines of the sea and the machines of the sky.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the boats have been designed by Morelli and Melvin, and they do all these aeronautical analysis and hydrodynamic analysis to design these boats. And as we know, this is one of the first boats to be designed for foiling completely from the ground up. It's not adapted, it's not modified, it's just completely blank canvas. how do we make the boat that will fly the fastest? It's how do we make the boat that will sail above the water the most efficiently? And that's where we see these features like the deck sweeper mainsail that attaches to the sealed trampoline. So the area that they're standing on is not like a traditional sailboat, not like your traditional catamaran. That's all this extremely stiff sailcloth that's going to seal to the mainsail. It's all about efficiency and making these boats, go very, very fast.
It's mind-blowing stuff and amazing stuff from our race committee too. Somehow they've been able to head over to Bunnings and pick up a few floating markers when we're just 2.5 minutes away from the start of our second race. So a great tilt of the cap there to our team on the water to keep the racing going after all of the sailors were playing minesweepers with our markers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Tide definitely catching a few teams out there, and it can be so hard at low speed to get these boats around those marks. You can just lose lateral control of how fast the boat's moving sideways and it just sweeps you on. But here we go, 2 minutes to the next race. We're going to see the same course as last time, so we're going to go for 3 laps, 3 top mark roundings, and we're going to be straight into it. So hopefully, there we go, Paul Campbell-James ready for the next race on ID. Looks like he's all sorted.
Yeah, let's hope so. They've been punching so far above their weight when they've been on the water. They're where you expect them to be, and the delays they had yesterday was just so frustrating for CJ. He was saying, the first race they couldn't get it together. The second race they bursted at the start, and by race 3 it was just a relief to be there.
Yeah, and we saw them so promising in Adelaide on the short track there in that final race, really pushing Nathan Outteridge on Euroflex to the very, very end. So I'm expecting big things from them. Hopefully they're not too rattled after what's happened. Sometimes in these tight, short races, it's a bit like quicksand. One thing goes wrong, you try too hard to struggle out of it, and you just sink deeper and deeper. And that can be the frustrating part of this racing. But here we go. Got to clear the slate, clear the head. We'll see how these guys come off the start line as they start to rack up.
Jack, what have you got for us?
Oh, plenty of action down here, Nick. Just having a good yarn with the water police down here, who are doing an excellent job. But what have we got? The boats are lining up. The course has been reset. Similar amount of pressure, so looking good for a great start here, Nick.
Jack, you're going to take out the boat for us for a little entertainment after the racing? I sure hope so.
Say that again, mate. I couldn't hear that.
Oh, no worries. We'll go to the start of the race, Jack. We're lining up now, and Tech 2's looking to throw it down.
So here we go, 15 seconds. You see Euroflex hanging back, trying to pull off that big slingshot start. Cleanmate coming in underneath Tech 2, and here we go. They start to line up, and 5 seconds to go. It's all about hitting that orange flag and the checkered buoy on 0. There you go, Tech 2 absolutely nailing that start.
And Pavement making a meal of it as well as they drift towards our race boat there as well. It's going to have to be some serious fending, otherwise we're going to have more entanglements. Oh my goodness, what is happening today for Pavement? Have they been out on the Gold Coast all night?
There we go, Pavement stuck on the treadmill, can't run fast enough to get under the boat there, almost swept into it. Luckily they fended off a little bit. You can see Cleanmate as well. So at low speed you can see these centerboards are so thin they just lose flow. There's such efficient machines at high speed and so inefficient at low speed. They're not designed to do this. So they're going to struggle really hard to get back under that line and get a clean start. Here we go, up the top of the track, Euroflex just putting the bow down over Luke Parkinson.
This is what they are designed to do, go fast, and Euroflex, that's their speciality, as a few of the Cleanmate sailors get a little wetter than anticipated as well, and they're making their way zigzagging back to ensure that they're back in the field of play now after an early hiccup. And there's time for one more as they plant down again, and we are racing now for Pavement.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. You can see the tide there really working, it's helping them get up to the top mark, but it's working against them in sailing these boats, and it's just changed the groove, and it's which team can adapt fast enough to this new feeling. It might not feel great, but you've got to feel good feeling bad sometimes. Just back yourself. The boat does feel okay. We're going quick.
And it looks like our front 4 machines are doing well, particularly CJ on ID and Record Point again, almost shadowing every single move of the Euroflex at the moment. And we can see there at the telemetry how close it is at the top, 100 metres, a football field separating our top 4 machines.
Yeah, so Phil Robertson on record point, getting some good leverage into the right as they approach the top mark. You can see the meters coming down. 40, 30, 25, 20 metres. He's almost in the lead over Euroflex. But it's who going to be gets the next puff at the top mark? Who can get around this single mark, starboard rounding, who can get there first?
And who can stay out of trouble almost at the moment, Jimmy? Everyone seems to be finding the banana skins out there, and they're really paying for it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few mystery puffs out there, and this tide is just throwing in that extra factor they haven't seen yet. You can see Luke Parkinson, Tech 2, doing a great job on the foils there, but he's not going to lay. So the lay line is where Phil Robertson's tacking right now. That's where he's going to put that tack in, and he knows he's going to make it around that mark from there. So with this tide sweeping left to right, it's actually going to help the boats foil downwind. They'll be able to foil earlier than they previously could because they're going to have a little more flow over the foils at a lower speed than they normally would. So you see Phil Robertson struggling to get away there. And ID, CJ, just taking the inside line.
Yeah, smart sailing there from CJ and the boys. They've really managed to pick that nicely. And what a nice little race we have here for second, third and fourth. Anyone's game at the moment.
Here we go, CJ lifts the bow. Phil sees the opportunity and he jibes.
They're calling water.
One, jibing.
Oh, goodness me, it's tense moments out there. And it must be the sun really starting to get to these sailors. It is baking hot out here. And we're seeing, uncharacteristically, a high amount of mistakes. Maybe that's just complacency. They're 3 regattas in so far. They've had good results in Geelong and Adelaide. And all of a sudden, we're seeing a little bit more caution to the wind, Jimmy.
Yeah, so textbook sailing there by record point. They saw the opportunity to jibe. They saw Tech 2 lift his bow, and they've just gone, we're jibing now. He's crossed clear, and he's gotten out to the right-hand side of the track. So Tech 2's actually linked up a really nice puff. They've got good VMG down the track at the moment. As Phil falling out of pressure on record point, getting sucked high again.
And would that bank have much of a wind shadow just between the shoreline here and where we are? And
yeah, it's really interesting. You saw record point just get carted there by that puff, and you expect to see Tech 2 get it here at some point. They have no rights here on point for Phil Robertson, so close cross there. Interesting to see if Luke Parkinson thinks that was a infringement. I think it wasn't, so record point just clearing the bow, but amazing to see Tech 2 just get carted all the way down that boundary. You can see the dark patch on the water, and Phil Robertson on record points just missed that puff, and here you see Tech 2's pulled out 100 metres just like that in 15-20 seconds.
Well, Luke Parkinson said he couldn't start a lawnmower, let alone a car, let alone a superfoiler yesterday. Now he's got the heart rate well and truly going, and throwing it down, just reminding everyone they're here and they want to make themselves felt.
Copy. I can't see. Right,
Luke Parkinson, Adam Menzies, Sam Newton doing a really good job as Phil just sticks the leeward bow under.
Driving.
Stuck in the tide.
Just crossing a little early, gent.
Very relaxed sounding Tech 2 there as well.
Have you board up? Board up. Oh, shit.
And from relaxation to panic stations there, they called it early. The trouble was coming.
Sorry, guys, wrong way on the rake.
The apology wasn't far behind.
Yeah, so Luke Parkinson just getting a little chicken winged on the buttons there. He said he went the wrong way with the foils, so they've just gone a little high and crashed down. But you can see all those mystery puffs out on the race course. They're coming down really vertically, hitting the course. Some big short lift puffs.
He's owning his mistakes there. Sorry, boys, completely my fault there, said Parko. And I don't think there'll be too many disagreements with that when they catch up at the Southport Yacht Club after this.
No, so this is where the big gains and losses are made. You can see record point just stuck on the treadmill. It's just making headway towards that bottom gate, but if you come into this gate slow, it's going to be painful. You're going to lose a lot of metres, whereas you can see ID top of the screen, a bit more speed. If you get your lay line right, you're in and out, you're gone.
And it's just those transitional wind puffs as well. If you miss one, you could be there twiddling your thumbs for weeks on end.
Absolutely. Often, you know, you just keep digging a deeper and deeper hole the more you try and aim at the mark, and it's all about keeping the boat ripping, keeping it fast. Pick those easy lay lines, you know, help yourself out, throw yourself a bone, just go a little further, bring it in hot. Don't try and soak down to those marks.
And I think as well, this could just be attrition for the guys on ID. I know Fang Warren there, who's in the middle of that ID machine, is saying that he's had one day off since Christmas. He's just been working on the boat so much, and he's absolutely exhausted. One man working overtimes. Jack, update please.
I just got the Tech 2 tacking right in front of me here, so they're the story of the day for me. They've been pulling off jibes left, right and centre. They've got the bit between the teeth, certainly, Nick. They're absolutely sailing like legends, and the record point just nipping at their heels, so that race isn't over yet, and the usual distance between the Euroflex and the fleet isn't as big, so yeah, very interesting stuff.
Talk me through pavement at the start line there, Jack. That was another rare mistake from Steve Thomas.
These boats are very, very tricky boats, and I think he came in to do a jibe around the back of the start boat, and the leeward float got stuck in the water and actually dragged them under, which is why they couldn't pull away. So look, I think they're doing a great job, all of the boats personally, but that very, very tricky stuff down here.
Oh, the conditions are so hard, no doubt about that, Jack. And to see the top of their flight, the top echelon of sailing, make mistakes certainly makes the average sailor feel a little bit better as we take a look at Euroflex galloping towards another victory. This will be 5 in 5 for Gold Coast.
Yeah, look, just because it looks easy doesn't mean that it is. I know that those Euroflex boys who, are really flexing their muscles here, they capsized 3 out of their first 7 sails on the SuperFoiler. So they got given the keys and they flipped it over 3 of their first 7 sails. And I tell you what, they really didn't mean to. You're definitely not meant to. But that just shows how hard these boats are to sail. You can see Tech 2 here doing a great mark rounding there on the foils. Sam Newton, the big man, dropping that board.
Driving. Sorry, just the pole. Here we go.
Luke just a little spooked there by that obstruction, that pole he had to go around, and you can see how much the tide is affecting him. They foil so early, they barely have to be moving down the track, but with that extra flow from the current, they're just straight up on the foils.
This is the hot sauce now, isn't it? 19 knots closing in on 18 there at the moment. This is just what you want to see these machines do as they bite into Euroflex with every single millimetre. Look what they've just done there. The race is back on, Jimmy.
Yeah, Parko's ordered another puff down that right-hand side. He's got it. He's down to 130 metres from Euroflex, and I hope Nathan Outridge doesn't have his head over his shoulder going, oh, God, they're coming in at me really quick, down to less than 100 metres. Down speed jibe, 90 metres. Really eating into him here.
Well, they're obviously in a different pattern as they close in super quickly on Euroflex here at the moment. No doubt those guys will know they're coming. If they can't see them, they could probably hear them, but I'm imagining they can see them because here they come.
So Nathan on Euroflex has rights. He's on starboard, and I imagine they've got one more jibe to get to the bottom gate. So the only advice I can give is put it in the oven and bring it out hot. Do not underlay this mark. It's all about when your next jibe is.
This is where tactics come into it, isn't it, Jimmy? This is where the race can be won and lost as we look at Euroflex gather a little bit more speed after she was looking ratchety moments ago.
Yeah, so next jibe, super important here. You can see Glenn Ashby and Goobs moving through the boat. Nathan Outridge choosing to stay to leeward, and a really nice jibe by them. I think they're going to come out of this really well. But, we saw at the end of the Geelong event, Parker doing some amazing jibes as Nate just falls off the foils there. Uncharacteristic mistake. Parko on the foils again, eating into that lead. Nate's got to throw another jibe. Very vulnerable here. This is Luke Parkinson's chance to go round the outside.
And he's the kind of guy that won't have to ask twice. He'll give it absolutely everything as we have a dogfight lined up for our final turn here. Look at them go.
One final lap, back up the top and back down, and Parker just choosing to shoot out below, try and clear his bow ahead. If he hits this boundary first, he will have rights to tack, and Nathan will have to get out of the way. That's the nature of this boundary racing.
Hang on, keep going. 3, 2.
Cold water, they've let him know they're turning.
Aiden, wait forward.
Textbook move by Nate.
Too early.
Simo tack, keep your bow in front, lead them out from the boundary. So Nate says, no worries, you take your water. I'm going to be nose in front and lead you out to that next puff.
Same with the drive, yeah.
We can see a sandbar there. That is how shallow it is on this boundary. Just the waves crashing over the top of it. As Tech 2 looks to come over the top of Euroflex, this would be an almighty win for for the guys on board Tech 2.
Yeah, and look, a bit of deja vu there as you see Record Point and ID having the same battle downwind, less than 50 metres in that battle for third spot. But here we go, Luke Parkinson, he's going to put the boat in a high mode, bring that jib car right in and try and foil as high as he can on the foils. So trying to get close to the wind, not about going fast and bow down, but about trying to hook up into that next pressure and stay high on the foils here. A lot of tactics coming to this, just trying to position the boat. Who's going to make the next move first?
It's one of those ones, it's who's going to blink first and how are you going to respond. I'd imagine the better hand here is from the master cardsman himself, the helm on Euroflex, a gold medal winner and an expert blinker by the sounds of things too.
Yeah, Nate's got a few regattas under his belt now, a gold medal, a silver medal and 2 America's Cups. As you see Luke Parkinson just having to go underneath, and this is where Nathan can start to get that dirty air onto Luke's sails. So a lot of disturbed air coming off Euroflex's sail, and Nate's just positioned himself perfectly to affect Luke Parkinson on Tech 2 as much as he can.
Well, Luke Parkinson knows a thing or two about the tricks that might be deployed by the helm on board Euroflex. They've done a fair bit of sailing together indeed at the America's Cup too, so they'll feel like they're well positioned to perhaps rattle Euroflex more than any other machine on the water right now, and that's been reflected in the tight race we have here.
And here's where you see that tidal effect. There's the mark, the white buoy in the middle of the screen, and Nathan just ripped on the treadmill away from that buoy. You can see he's going to round wide. Interesting to see he's rounding on one foil there. As he just crashes down, often you see those guys drop that windward foil before they turn down. So very interesting there. We could see an early manoeuvre from Tech 2 here.
Stand by bearing away.
Here you see Luke Parkinson already dropped that windward foil. That's going to help him get down the track immediately as he rounds. And I think he's going to take a chunk out of Nathan here. So Nathan rounded over 100 metres ahead. Parker already down to 70, 60.
This is where it all counts, isn't it, Jimmy? This is the final leg, so now mistakes are going to be maximised and good moves will really come into their own as we look at Tech 2, perhaps wiping a little bit more speed than she wanted to, but it won't take Parko long to fire up the engines. He had trouble with the lawnmower yesterday. Now he's on the ride-on.
Absolutely, and you see there, really interesting. Euroflex only one foil down once again, so they're opting for that faster mode. Very, very interesting for this tight boundary racing, and it's just a jibe off here. So you see that foiling jibe from Euroflex, if they can make it stick. They're getting most of the way through the jibe before they fall off the foils. So that's what they're aiming to do here. Maybe not enough wind to pull off the full foiling jibe, but
Driving.
Parker just counts in there. These guys moving beautifully through the boat.
Getting too much fluid here along the exit, gents.
What Parker does really well, as opposed to Nathan Outridge, is he moves his body weight through the boat a bit faster. Nathan Outridge opting to stand that leeward side for longer.
And there's a fair bit of body weight there as well. I mean, mostly muscle, though, for Luke Parkinson. His DEXA body scan revealed that the former rugby player is in very good shape, incredibly light for the comparison for those in his weight and age range.
Yeah, he's a grinder in the America's Cup, and he's got pretty good skills on the tiller for a grinder, I'll tell you that much. And you can see how tough it is here. Glenn Ashby just getting sucked off the boat there with a bit too much windward heel. Tech 2, 3 metres, 2 metres. Tech 2 take the lead here, so Euroflex, windward foil up. I don't think it's paying off for them at the moment. And Tech 2's just neck and neck here within 10 metres. I think they're eating into that lead. Better VMG down the track. That velocity made good. It's not about going fast, it's about going low and fast.
And look at that, what a picture to give you an idea of how much she is flying at the moment. The whistling, the humming, she's making her presence felt.
So I think we got him here.
Parko thinks he may have them, that's exciting.
There's the finish buoy on the right of your screen. With the start boat, with the orange flag to the right of that, Parko has rights here.
Stop it!
Euroflex just sneaked through to take the win there.
And it's a close one. Oh my goodness! We've lost both of them overboard. And it's Sam, I think, holding on. Maybe he was trying to slingshot them over the finish to try and get them there first. but now he's going to have to get off that sail. Oh, and they wanted it so bad they were almost willing to jump over the line, Jimmy.
Oh my God, Parko just throwing everything out of there in the end. We know he doesn't hold back, but that was incredible, extremely dangerous there as two crew just get completely thrown off. Parko standing on the sail, they're stuck in the tide. They're going to have to get this boat back upright. Luckily they have finished, their score does count. We're going to see those Pro Guard guys, there they are in the shot. They're going to be working hard to get this boat back upright because they're right in the middle of the finish line there. All the other boats that make their way down are going to have to dodge them on their way to the finish.
And looking at that, a second between them. And I know we've got the Winter Olympics on. That was a pretty good dismount as well. Really stuck the landing there.
Go forward.
Yeah, textbook dismount there. And, you know, just as you see the sprinters in the 100 metres throw their head forward, that's Parko just throwing the bow square to the line, trying to shoot it over. Really tight battle here between ID, Paul Campbell-James and Phil Robertson on record point. They've been within 100 metres this whole race, just neck and neck going for that third spot.
And what an amazing finish that was for the battle in first and second. And the battle for third and fourth will be pretty hot too. Jack?
Yeah, epic stuff down here, Nick. That was a full throttle downwind leg by the Tech 2 guys. They absolutely nailed it, and now they've tipped it in, but it looks like everyone's getting it under control. We've got the safety boats there. They'll get the riding line on in a few minutes and pull it upright. But at the same time, we've got record point and ID coming in for a very tight finish.
It looked like there was a few choice words there. Did you think that Euroflex did have the right of way there?
It's very touch and go, Nick. I would say I would leave that one up to the umpire.
Goodness me, 1 second in that finish, and Jack McCartney saying, well, it was probably even closer than that in terms of rights as we look at record points closing in on the victory over ID. This is another tight finish though, Jimmy.
Yeah, so if record point can lay the finish boat here, they're going to be in good stead. I think they're going to get that third place, but you see CJ there, he's gone a little bit further. And if Phil has to throw another manoeuvre here, he's going to be very, very vulnerable. Phil just trying to soak it in.
And when you're in sniffing distance of the finish line, that can be very hard to do. And we're going to have another really tight one here. Looking to undercut them.
CJ.
He got us. And CJ from the heavens, well, he's back, baby.
Yeah, you just heard Phil there say, oh, he's got us. And yeah, just Phil having to throw that extra manoeuvre at the end. Once these boats go down speed, you're almost going backwards. You cannot sail slow. Everything has to be fast, and it's all about these lay lines.
And what about that? What an indication of just how much the fine margins mean for these sailors. I mean, we saw a second between first and second, and a second between third and fourth. Goodness me, that is really tight stuff.
Yeah, super tight racing, never over till it's over, and you just saw there Phil as he crossed the line telling the boys to, we need to sort this boat out. He's got a few issues. There we go, Tech 2 righted after that capsize, so I think their Euroflex did have right away on the pin mark, and if Euroflex stayed really close to that pin end mark, they did have right away, even though Tech 2 were on starboard. So that's why we saw such an aggressive manoeuvre from Tech 2 to try and shoot the line there.
So nice to see Luke Parkinson winding up there. He was going hammer and tongs at that finish line. He wanted it desperately, and that's the closest finish we've ever seen on the circuit. We're 3 regattas in, obviously, but 1 second. I mean, that shows just how quickly everyone is starting to poke holes in the Euroflex armour.
Absolutely, yeah, no, you'd have to think that Euroflex have used up all their lucky cards. They've run out by now, surely. 1 second in that, super close finish yesterday, and many more in the regattas before that, but always just going Euroflex's way. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's a high five for them. They'll be absolutely stoked. 5 from 5 here to add to their perfect record across Adelaide and Geelong.
Setting up.
And it's not easy out there, is it, Jimmy? I mean, they make it look so easily. They're the best in the business at what they do. They make it look easy, but it's anything but. And to see, I mean, 3 minutes between our top 5 finishers just goes to show how much that gap is being gobbled up day by day, race by race, second by second.
Absolutely. One mistake here and you're going to go from first to last. And we've seen Pavement come through in 5th position, and Olivia Price on clean mate, just trying to get it down to the finish now. And she's going to use this time to just practice some modes, practice some jibes, get the boat all dialed in before the next race. And you can see Tech 2 there, top of the screen. They've just got it on the foils, just making sure everything works, making sure their buttons are still all in order. And yeah, not long between races here, and they're going to turn them over really quick.
And again, ID Intranet there showing that there is so much more than points on the line. There's plenty of pride on the line as well. Paul Campbell-James pulling out every trick in the book to squeeze past your boys on record point, Jimmy.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, really nice job there from Olivia. Awesome to see that foiling jibe. You know they've got it in them, and it's just that race practice, that race mentality, you know, keeping you cool, keeping it chill, think clearly. This racing is so tough. It's not a normal sailing race. It's not what we normally traditionally see, where we've got plenty of time to make decisions. This is just normal racing dialed right up. Everything happens so fast, and you know, sometimes you try and too hard to correct mistakes and you just go further backwards.
Perfect stuff there from Clean Made. She crosses an unscathed marker, which after the first race is a rare sight, seeing a marker unentangled with, standing there proudly. When these guys get dialed in, they really just line them up and knock them over, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really creeping up on them, but good to see everyone around the track in good shape there. You know, Parko flipping it over just after the finish, but he's all back up right now, and they're just going to try and chill their beans for the next one, I think. Make sure there's not too much water in the boat and get ready to reload.
That was certainly the most exciting finish I've seen of any regattas we've seen so far, and well, the racing on the track is as hot as the weather outside here on the Gold Coast. I mean, it is hot, it is humid, but it is beautiful to watch. As we look at the results from race 5, Euroflex top of the tree. The Tech 2, Luke Parkinson, he's coming for you, Nathan Outeridge and co. A second there, 2 minutes 53 behind Paul Campbell-James with the bragging rights. But I don't know just how much stick you'll give record point there, because it was as close as they come. A second there as well between 3rd and 4th. How good. And Steve Thomas, again, after a shaky start by his own means, 3 minutes and 7 seconds adrift of the leader there. So some close times, a real even spread across our top 6 machines. That's good to see, almost as good as that skyline is to watch. As we take a look at some of the graphics here, and I guess in the end, maybe it was the distance sailed between ID and record point that told the story, Jimmy.
Yeah, so it's an interesting graphic, this one, with the distance sailed. So when we're sailing, we have the choice to go really fast but take a longer road, or we can go a little slower and take the shorter road. And you see there, Euroflex sailing the least amount of distance, and that's pretty key on these tight racetracks. And this is pretty traditional of Phil. We've seen it at another event as well, record point sailing a further distance and just opting to go faster. So not necessarily a bad thing. He's obviously converting it into decent BMG around the track, but you know, maybe he does need to shorten it up a little bit, and here we go with the average speeds.
Yeah, Tech 2. I wonder if that speed includes velocity through the air of Aiden Menzies as he went soaring over the finish there. But look, we know Tech 2's fast, Jimmy. We know that about Luke Parkinson. The guy drives like a madman on the Autobahn at the best of times, and that stat sure backs it up. The fastest on the water, average speed. What about this top speed? Are you surprised to see Euroflex nailing nearly 30 knots there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredibly quick for how short a distances they're sailing on one jibe here, and especially pushing into that current as well. They got 3 knots of current going against them, so you know that's a really high speed, and good to see that Tech 2 right up there pushing those top speeds as well with Euroflex. And a lot of that is going to be just sailing on one jibe for a long time. We need to let the boat breathe, let it run.
And Clean Made as well with some seriously impressive numbers. Olivia Price, a bit of a rev head it seems. She's the 3rd fastest in terms of a top speed, so certainly willing, able and wanting to drop the hammer there on clean made some good stats there, as the power boats are looking sluggish now compared to the superfoilers.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing that all that horsepower to go that fast, and we can just throw some sails up and buzz straight past them. But it's going to be interesting to see how clean made and pavement reset on this race. We've seen by those graphics they've got the speed, they've got the handling to do really well and win some races here. And in the last start, both of them getting stuck outside the start boat. So what they need to do is they just need to go do some homework at the bottom of the line, find their lay lines, and just get off the line cleanly, and they'll be in good form up the track. They just need to give themselves an opportunity, get to the front of the grid, get off well.
What a glorious view that is of the Gold Coast, getting a gun barrel view all the way down to their heads there. I mean, it is a pretty special place, no doubt about that. And I wonder what the view is like at the top of one of those skyscrapers, if they've got the big lens out trying to take in some of the superfoiler action. A really unique sort of built environment here on the Gold Coast to have such high rise so close to the water. The hotel we're at has some spectacular views. It's nice waking up in the morning and sussing out whether it's time to go for a swim.
Yeah, it's pretty epic to see the city and the surf so close together, and the two cultures stitched together so well. Such a surf-crazy community, but with that kind of backdrop, it's really unique.
Spoken like a true frother there, Jimmy. You absolutely love it, don't you? And that swell is really coming in. I know there'll be a lot of people on boards with a bit of zinc on and some sunscreen diving in. And one thing I didn't know until I came to the Gold Coast on this occasion was just how active their marinas are. They've got a lot going on the water's edge in the thick of the city there. So you can literally walk off the main drag, go for a swim, and then jump straight on a boat. Pretty unique.
Yeah, the infrastructure here is unbelievable. All the marinas, it's called Surfers Paradise, but it might need to be called Powerboaters Paradise and Sailors Paradise by the looks of that. So much infrastructure around the city, and all these waterways just weaving through the back of the city there. Is super cool.
One man who is super cool, a legend in his own lunchtime, Jack McCartney.
Watch it here. We've got a bit on down here. Are you with me?
We are, Jack. Just for a change, you've got your hands full, buddy.
There's no shot. Parko, that was epic. Finish.
We're no slouches down, and have to get our nose in front there at the end. But unfortunately, I understood the rules. I might have to check the old rule book. Yeah.
You're nailing the jibes. Looking great.
To be honest, we thought we weren't even jibing that well the last lap. We were getting a bit with it. Maybe we're just trying a little bit hard. But for sure, the first two laps, that's what we want to keep pushing on, yeah.
All right, we'll keep it up for the last race, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Is there only one more race?
Interesting there, Parko asking if there was only one more race. He wants more. He needs more. And also questioning some of the interpretations of the laws there as well. So Luke Parkinson, he's a man with Euroflex in his crosshairs, and he's got his finger squeezing that trigger. I'd expect him to hit the target soon enough. He very almost did there, Jimmy. 1 second. Do you reckon there'll be a bit of gentle ribbing when he sees the Euroflex guys later this afternoon, just letting him know they got away with another one? That's 3 that they've got out of jail cards they've used now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to let him know. You can see how good his wheels are downwind. He's got really good pace, and those jibes are turning out really well. That last lap was a little scratchy, but, that's what happens in sailing. That's when the pressure builds, you've still got to stay relaxed, stay calm, and you can't force it. You've got to let the boat sail. You can't just... you can't just put the foot down when you want. It's all finesse, even when it's in those high pressure moments. So, that's where the experience comes in, and I'm not sure that attributes to the 1 second, but, that's where Nathan Outridge is so cool under pressure, and he's not rattled at all.
It's like a hot lap in a Formula One car, isn't it? It can come down to the smallest of margins and how you calculate those at the moment. We might have to get our timing even more precise than seconds. We're going to have to go to hundredths of a second soon.
Yeah, for sure. We might have some photo finishes coming up, and I think they're going to throw an extra lap in for this next race. We might see 4 laps. So if that happens, we saw Luke Parkinson eating into the Euroflex towards the end of the race then. That's going to give him another lap to chase him down. Well,
that's so good from Parko. He said, we've just got the one more race. I wouldn't mind another one after that as well. And so at least he's getting another lap. That's a nice consolation prize. He deserves it after that.
Yeah, I don't know that Sam Newton and Aidan Menzies will want another race the way that they just got thrown off the boat. They might be trying to get off the boat at this point, but yeah, we'll see if they can keep the ship together.
Well, I mean, he virtually made them walk the plank. It was an involuntary exit there for those boys, but they'll very much be looking forward to volunteering to knock off the Euroflex guys at the next available opportunity as we travel down our track. And there are some of the sandbars. You can see them pretty clearly, but it's the ones you can't see that cause the most headaches, Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. So the tough thing with these boats is they draw a lot of water when they're not on the foils, and obviously when you're up and flying, you're not drawing much water at all. So they've got the sandbanks mapped out to a certain extent, but it's changing quickly, and they do need to keep an eye out for them. We've got 1:30 left in this start, and I think we're going to see the fleet hopefully racked up nicely and getting away cleanly on port.
You can hear Olivia Price laughing. She's had plenty to celebrate, and I'd be willing to put my house on pavement, not making a mistake this time around. Such exacting standards. Jack?
Sorry guys. Yeah, just setting up for a start. We've got about 2 minutes to go, so I'm just turning around here. I reckon you can expect some fireworks between the Tech 2 and the Euroflex. Certainly there's a strong rivalry there, even though they were partners in crime in the Artemis Americas Cup, but that was all guns blazing, Nick.
Jack, he certainly made his thoughts clear to you there at the post-race interview. Parko did, at least, in that he wasn't sure about the interpretation of the rules. Did you get the feeling that he may lodge a protest later on? He was pumped up.
He was certainly pumped up, but I don't think he's going to lodge a protest. What happens on the water stays on the water with this racing, so it's all in good spirit, but as you can see, they're very, very serious about winning. Got 1 minute coming up here, Nick.
My button's got to sail forward here. Sheet on, please.
Okay, so you can see here, this is the hardest part of the race, factoring in this tide and how much it's going to drag you up and over the line.
Yeah. Let's go. Racing. No, let's go. I can always keep in the water. Let's go. Racing.
Well, look at that precision deluxe there from all our machines. 6 in clean air now, and ID, after such a great finish in the last race, is looking to extend that kind of run. CJ will be loving being out at the front where he's more accustomed to being, Jimmy.
Yeah, he's absolutely launched here off that line. Really good time and distance, good slingshot off the line, and he's going to be first to hit the boundary on the right, throw the tack back. There he goes. Phil Robertson's going to get as far up the track as Luke Parkinson. Tech 2 struggles to get underneath, and I think you might see Record Point leading this race early on.
Wouldn't that be a great storyline for Phil and the family? They come down and they're his lucky charm. I think Sarah, the worst position he's put together in front of her is second, so he'll be looking for more of that this time around.
Perfect work there by Phil on Record Point. Euroflex having to duck. Phil got rights on starboard tack there.
Well, all of a sudden we're seeing our fleet compressed and squeezed, and that's only going to dial up the pressure even more on Euroflex. And with more pressure comes more mistakes, and it's looking like Record Point is pouncing at this stage.
Yeah, they're doing a really great job to convert their speed into height, get up the racetrack. You can see CJ and ID, he's sailing maybe a little low, a little fast, and he's just lost some ground there. Phil much further up the track.
Hard to cross,
So Tech 2 off to a little slow start on this third race, and CJ foiling really nicely, but possibly a little too high, making a lot of leeway. Record Points come off the boundary here, and it's going to be really tight between them and Euroflex.
And this is where it gets shallow, and this is where it gets hot and heavy as well. They've called protest there.
Phil's trying to call water on the boundary. Euroflex trying to get him on starboard.
The whistle's gone.
It's going to be
Jack, what's happening, mate?
Yeah, that was a little incident between Record Point and Euroflex. Record Point had right of way in terms of calling water, and Euroflex tacked in their water, in my view. So, not sure if they've got a penalty or not, but I thought Record Point was in the right.
I think it's all clean there. No penalty given, possibly. Here we go. It's all about this top mark rounding. You've got to absolutely blow the doors off this top mark, get it on the foils, and just rip it away.
Euroflex has done just that as ID and Record Point get close. And the field really coming together for the final race of the day here in the Gold Coast. And there was certainly commotion there, Jimmy. What did you make of that?
Yeah, it's interesting there. Both boats thinking that the other boat was in the wrong and possibly everyone was in the right and no infringement at all. So interesting to see that that's all let go and they're just going to be off and racing now. No penalties given, but amazing to see ID catch up there, just sneaking on the inside there.
Stand by, jibe. 3, 2, 1, jibing.
And look at how close the four machines are in picture there. Anyone's at the moment, and you can see, I mean, just a handful of seconds between the top 5 machines.
Yeah, and Tech 2's jibes there, just superior of Record Point and ID. Simo jibe on the inside, and they've just taken instantly 100 metres.
Yeah, wait. Sorry.
Well, it's not just the spectator craft, it's not just the sandbanks. There's so many obstacles out there that make the runway that little bit shorter than they otherwise might want.
Rotator does not look off. 3.
Tough job there by Euroflex. You see that big wheelie is when you just get the rakes a little out of sync. And all the boats struggling here. Looks like it's gone light on the track. And with that current pushing them upwind, it's going to make it even harder for them to get downwind here.
Who's that going to play into their hands of, Jimmy? Who's going to be able to exploit that shift in breeze?
Pavement's just done a massive leapfrog here. So maybe less current on the right side of the track where they've come from, or more pressure. Euroflex just back up on the foils now.
We've got to work our way
this is where it gets frustrating.
These guys, great shot there. They're just getting the sunscreen on as the world's best whirl by. Taking it right to the boundary.
Fuck.
Super tough with Record Point. Tech 2 weaving in and out. Pavement slipping through on the inside, and this battle for second is incredibly close. Less than 50 metres between 4 boats.
And CJ's got his confidence back, clearly willing to drop the throttle a little more than he has in the last couple.
More positive. You've gone the wrong way with that. I mean, that's sorry, don't worry.
And that's chatter aboard Record Point by the sounds of things. A little bit of mixed messages slipping through.
Yeah, so the bowman just getting instructions and trying to feel the boat because they have to trim that windward foil. The skipper can't control the windward foil when they've got both boards down as they are, and it's all that bowman. And you see Tech 2 just massive crash off the foils.
Coming up. Okay, ready to jibe. 3, go.
Yep.
You can hear their Phil getting ready to jibe.
2, 1, jibing.
Record Point spinning the boat there. Awesome foiling jibe by the boys. They're going to have to duck Pavement, try and go above and take their air. And we have CJ here and ID coming in with rights on both of them on starboard.
It's just an aquatic chess match at the moment, isn't it? I mean, everyone is just all of a sudden getting comfortable in their own skin on board their shiny SuperFoilers and starting to push the envelope that little bit further.
And this is where we keep seeing these big gains and losses. Bottom of the track, getting in and out of this bottom gate. If you go down speed, you just get sucked back upwind. And a good split.
What up?
Nice and slow, guys.
And a great gate there from Pavement. They've really come back into the contest as CJ's gathering a lot of speed and has Record Point in the sights.
Perfect rounding there by ID, coming in really fast and just whipping it around that buoy. And see how much distance they took out of Phil Robinson on Record Point there. And Phil's just going to push all the way to the boundary. He's into minimising manoeuvres.
And there was nothing between Pavement and Record Point. They made those gates at the exact same time. So second and third, I mean, nothing at all. I was right, Jimmy. We need better calculations. We need to go more narrow. These things are too close.
We need microseconds here. And amazing to see them round the same time. They've both split to different sides of the course, and it looks like Pavement's gone the better way. They're going to cross in front.
And Steve Thomas will just be thinking, if only I was able to get away clean in the first 2 races of the day. This is what I can do. This is what I like to do. And this is what I will do.
Good one.
We knew he had the ability, we knew he had the speed, and as you said, you know, he's just got to get off that line. He's executing well this race.
Well, he has won a Sydney to Hobart, Steve Thomas, and that's a much longer race at 628 nautical miles. You can make small mistakes and not get punished, but here in the SuperFoiler circuit, it's millimetre precision.
On Phil Robertson just with a tough tack.
And it's going to be hard to go fast when you've got half the Broadwater on your trap there as well. So Record Point losing precious seconds and ID driving through their mistake.
You can see that leeward hull will just sink straight underwater with too much heel and absolutely stop you dead.
So Ed Powies and CJ and Fang on board. The ID stalking, shadowing pavement at every move. They're going to give the VIP boat an almighty close-up here.
Okay, stand by. 3, 2, 1, go board. Turning.
So Tech 2 bouncing off that boundary and pavement tacking, ID tacking in sync with them, trying to give that bad air. Here we go, Euroflex once again at the top mark. Interesting to see, only one board, they're opting for the fast option.
And they sure are going fast. Jack, are you getting a feeling for just how quick this race is?
Yeah, Nick, this is the best race of the series so far, I think. I think you're seeing 2, 3, 4 very, very close together, and 5. So really, really tight racing. You can see everyone's on a steep learning curve, and the gap between them and Euroflex is getting smaller and smaller each manoeuvre.
They've certainly blown out the cobwebs. Where are they making the most ground on the track? Where's the real hot spot?
I think in the manoeuvres, in the jibes, in the tacks, you can see that the other boats are really catching up to the other boat, up to the Euroflex. So turning corners is where all the gaps occur, and the Euroflex team's so polished, but the other teams are catching up quick.
Board up.
No doubt about that.
Interesting there, ID had pavement on starboard, made them tack and then immediately split. Classic match racing move, and you can see how much distance they've pulled out. It's all going to be about these jibes downwind. This is a longer race. We've got 8 legs, so we're only halfway through. And Phil's earlier mistake on Record Point has really cost him. He's back in 5th.
And interesting, remember ID Intranet and Pavement were split for split, second for second there. And they've just opened the door, ID. They've made the most of that last marker.
Go board. Go board.
Here we go. Who can do the foiling job?
1. 5.
Pavement smoked a really good one there as Tech 2 crashes off the foils. Record Point on the inside. Awesome job by Record Point getting through there. And you can see how much ground they took out. Tech 2, the pressure was on for the job and they made a bad one, and suddenly they've just been passed by 2 boats.
This is where it starts to get exhausting and really stressful when you've got so many machines racing on such limited runway. This is the tense moment, isn't it? As we see, well, Phil's had a really good session there, hasn't he? Coming right back into the thick of things.
Yeah, so he's just being dictated to here by ID as they jibe, and now Phil's in a lull. He's down speed, got to throw a jibe, and that's going to hurt. Tech 2 once again on the inside, trying to lead them back. And Pavement, they've just got some clear air, they've got some room to breathe, they can relax their shoulders just a little bit and let the boat sail here.
Lean hard, guys.
Speaking to Steve Thomas at the end of yesterday's racing, you've never seen someone more steely-eyed and determined to come back and throw his keys on the table and say, remember me? And they're doing this in the final race. As we hear a few laughs aboard Cleanmade, they're enjoying themselves, and how could they not? How could the spectators not? We've got some racing.
Such tough conditions here, really variable puffs, got that tide, really making the boats feel completely different to how they've ever felt before. And you can see they're improving every jibe they do. And Record Point, Pavement here, the fastest to adapt, the fastest to change their method. You can't just copy one jibe to the next, you have to feel every single one. And they're in second, and they're actually taking some meters out of Euroflex here. So Euroflex, this is where they make the big loss, when they get down speed into the bottom gate. You can see they're just sitting on the treadmill now. They can't just point down because you just go slower and slower trying to push into the tide. Extremely painful part of the race course when that happens.
How aware would Euroflex be of the fire behind them, the breathing fire of the SuperFoilers that are coming in hot? Now they'd get a really good idea. They can see 3 challenging machines in their eye line.
Yeah, so nothing in it here, and you can see that they're not in very good pressure. They're in a lull. They're not up and foiling, so if pavement can flick out to the right-hand side of the track, they might pick up some different breeze that suddenly it'll be out of Euroflex's control. Tech 2 absolutely carted through the middle of the track here.
Got to build speed, struggling.
Coming up into
Phil goes hunting for Tech 2. He's got rights to push him up.
my angle. That's my angle.
2, 1, driving. Can't see them.
Record point there, just pushing Tech 2 past the lay.
Hold
So ID's going to slip inside.
Oh, hold on to your hat, CJ. Superb work
Phil's
on the
going to
helm
shoot
there.
the gap here. There he goes, up inside.
Oh my goodness, those boys have just hit. Ed Powers has literally just hit. They are touching and they are blowing up accordingly. Well, they've got, it doesn't come any closer than that, does it, Jimmy?
No, you can hear the intensity on record point.
Main on, come on, back the jump. Main on, back the
Phil couldn't see ID, and ID couldn't see Phil. Phil wanted room to get under that polar who's going to hit it, so he's calling for
pump,
water.
pump main, pump main, pump main.
Didn't quite have right, so he's got a double tap.
Pumping main. Pumping main.
Painful stuff there for record point. Tough situation. You can hear that Phil is getting frustrated. That's really got to him, but he's got a piece of Tech 2 here to get one back.
Ed Powers with a free trip to the Cairo there as well. That was close as they come.
Come on. It's all good.
And look at this battle. Look at these three eyeing each other off, throwing down the challenge, and literally, in the case of record point, making their presence felt.
Absolutely, it's a tough trade-off between you have rights on the boundary or you on starboard, and it's up to the sailors on the water. They both have an idea of who's in the right, and often they just come out of a situation, both look to the jury boat and see who's made the mistake.
Copy that.
Setting up.
Sam Newton on the bow, just making sure Parker knows there's 2 laps to go. We're on leg 5 of 8. Easy for us to know. We've got the counter on the screen, but they're getting dizzy out there. They're doing so many laps, and it's easy for them to lose count.
Yeah, and they would be absolutely sweating bullets here because it is hot and the racing is furious. It's so close at the moment as Euroflex doing what they do so well. They would surely be aware of just how close it is at 2nd, 3rd and 4th. This is something special unfolding, Jimmy.
Yeah, look, Euroflex has pinned their ears back and they're off, and they're just trying to sail their own race here. They'll know how close it is for 2nd, and they'll just be making sure they focus on their boat here and not make any mistakes.
And ID growing with every single race here, of course. They've shown what they're capable of, and they'll yield to no one on course at the moment. And CJ just enjoying his time in the sun.
Yeah, good to see Pavement stretched out here. They got a good lead in 2nd. The battle for 3rd is well and truly on. Now Tech 2, Luke Parkinson, who was last out of that final incident at the bottom, he's now sort of leading the fleet here, and he's going to lay. Bad news for ID there. They've had to duck and they may not lay anymore, so they might have to do another 2 manoeuvres to get around this mark.
No one is really willing to surrender any real estate here on the Gold Coast. Every millimetre is hard fought, and it's going to be as hard as they come here as well. Goodness me, these machines are close. And everyone just pushing it that little bit further than what we've seen before, Jimmy.
Yeah, good shift going ID's way, just getting around the mark, and here we go. All 3 boats are going to try and drive on each other. So the first one to flinch, they're going to get pounced on.
8 seconds between the 3 machines on screen at the moment.
Tech 2 crash off the foils. Phil Robertson at record point sneaks through the inside. Awesome foiling job by record point. That's going to convert to about 50 or 100 metres.
Okay, here we go.
And ID, down speed there, haven't been able to pull off that jibe, so it's just who can pull off these foiling jibes here. Epic race going on.
This is what we've been waiting for, Jimmy, isn't it? The contest of raw to life. Tech 2 record point. ID absolutely obliging at this moment in time, as Pavement will favour her chances of getting a close look at Euroflex as well at the head of the course. So there are battles within battles, and they're all pretty hotly contested at this moment in time.
Here we go. Euroflex onto their final lap here. Pavement in second. They'll be most likely rounding behind them if they can keep their nose clean.
And all these spectator boats are getting treated to something special. They'll be hanging out the stern of those boats, getting a close look at the racing that's unfolding before their very eyes. And they'll say, surely all these machines can't be so close together. But they are, Jimmy. They are.
It's so close out there, you know. We can see they actually are touching each other's boats at times, and ID getting stuck in the lull on the left of your screen there. Really just glued to the water, can't get going, and Record Point and Tech 2 are just legged out here. So the battle for third is slowly getting whittled away, and there's less teams sort of vying for that position. And Tech 2, tough jibe there. Phil Robson smoking another foiling jibe. That's how he's making the meters. That's how you're going to win races.
Absolutely. As we see Pavement here, Reese Mara will be relishing the contest here. He plays such a big tactical role on board Pavement, and so far he's had all the cookies crumbling in the right direction. They made the start, now they're going to make it count, and I get the feeling, Jimmy, they'll still like their chances of knocking away Euroflex.
Yeah, they're trying to still eat into that lead, and anything can happen here. You've seen boats catch the mark and capsize and all the rest, so Lockie Gilmore and Reese Mara doing a great job on the bow Pavement. Here we go, so Phil has rights. Tech 2 can't jibe into them until Phil lets them.
Keep away.
If I drive,
3,
2,
go.
One driving, got to lead this.
Tech 2 getting the better of that turn.
Simo jibe there once again. Tech 2 getting the better jibe. Can they lay?
Don't worry.
There it is, classic better jibe.
Wait in.
Straight over the top.
Forwards, gliding to left mark.
Go left. Go.
Parker opting left mark. Record Point splitting, going right mark.
One,
Here we go.
Turning.
Splitting and slipping there too.
1.
Amazing stuff there, rounding almost the exact same time again
Are you
and
done
splitting
there?
directions.
No, I won't. Just leave it. Javon, please.
Amazing in the
Good
heat
job,
of battle.
first.
There are still pleases and thank yous and
Go, bell's
sorries.
coming down. Here we go.
Phil Robson
Going all the
working
way
hard
here.
to keep the lads happy. He knows they're absolutely at the top of their heart rate on the front of that boat. Trying to cut them slack when he can. And ID just struggling in the bottom of the course, throwing away those meters. When you get down speed, it's like having an anchor attached to your boat. It makes it so hard to move forwards.
It's like watching test match cricket. Not much is happening, you're just willing it to. Not like here, this is the 2020 of our sport. It's fireworks and firecrackers and plenty of explosions out there towards the pointy end of the course, no doubt about that.
Yeah, amazing here. I think Pavement are eating into that Euroflex lead. Doing really well here. I think Euroflex has just struggled. I think there's bigger lulls out on the racetrack appearing, and more places just get caught out. Pavement definitely catching up to Euroflex here.
Yeah, Euroflex on their way with a little bit there, but well, Stevie Thomas will fancy his chances now that he is in this contest like never before today. He's back, and he will certainly be wanting to keep them honest there, the Euroflex boys. 24 World Championships between them on board Euroflex.
On their final leg, they're smoking down to the finish, and Pavement's going to sort of run out of time here to try and close that down unless we see a big mistake from Nathan Outridge. Stevie Thomas just got that boat dialed in really nice. Amazing crew work there, all in synchronisation, moving through the boat nicely.
Got more chance of seeing a mistake from Nathan Outridge than you do from seeing a solar-powered torch. I mean, it's just not going to happen. It's not practical. It's not possible.
Exactly. Very uncharacteristic for Nathan Outridge to let this one go here. Pavement just keeping it sensible. Nothing too extreme. Keep the pointy end up in the sky. Get her to the finish. And we see there, Record Point Tech 2 still splitting tacks as they move up this beat. So big chance for an overtake there. Just see that amazing technique there from Euroflex. A lot of traveller down, a lot of main ease. Glenn Ashby doing an amazing job on that main sheep to keep the sail nice and twisted in that accelerating mode.
Go past him.
Oh, so here we go again. Just when you think you can take a breather, Luke Parkinson reminds you that he's on the racetrack.
Best thing we could do is slow him down there.
Just trying to wipe some speed off Record Point, but not successful. Phil Robertson and the boys have that puppy dialed in, and she's off the leash at the moment.
And stand by Tremont. Can't see the mark. We're good.
Here we go, another drag race downwind. Who can do these manoeuvres best?
Stand by, Jibe. Hang on.
Parker
3,
with the inside
2,
line.
1, dropping.
Euroflex just cruising down to that finish line here, completely in control of this race. No mistakes from these guys.
And they know it now. They can sniff it out. They're on the Gold Coast and they've got plenty to boast about. That's 6 from the SuperFoiler Supremo. These guys can do no wrong, can they? I mean, they get up in the morning and they just eat excellence for breakfast every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something in the water in their hotel room. They're just absolutely flawless at the moment.
Yeah, I was having a chat to Nathan Outteridge and he attributes a lot of his success to his partner Emma. That and mushrooms. Big fan of mushies and sausages. Mushies and saucies, he says.
Yeah, he loves his vegetables at the moment, Nate. He's all about it. And you see pavement here. Oh, man, overboard on Record Point. That's Neil Hunter, the bowman. Tech 2, fly behind. That could be an overtake.
Oh, that hurts. That really does hurt. Pavement just enjoying her time at the front, but for Record Point, that's bittersweet, no doubt about it, because Tech 2, as we can see, is capitalising on their misfortune at the moment.
Yeah, it looked like Neil Hunter just lost his footing in a jibe. He has to cross in front of the mast, which is extremely slippery, extremely dangerous, not much to hold on to, and a small mistake like that, Parker says thanks very much, and he's off. 2 boards down, he's got really good speed here, maybe one more manoeuvre into the finish.
Yep. Stand by, Jibe.
And amazing how quickly they can recuperate, regather their thoughts. Neil Hunter in the thick of it again.
There you see Neil Hunter just smoking in front of the rig. You see how hard it is to get through that gap as the boat's moving underneath you.
And ID at the top of the picture as well. Our triumvirate, our 3-prong attack coming together again. But Record Point, are they Gonski at this point? Or have they still got some room for Wooshka?
Look, right now this is Tech 2's lead to lose. So if they just keep it clean here and get across the finish line, it's going to be their race. And Phil's just going to let that one slip out of his teeth. He was in the lead there. But there you go, Tech 2 across the finish line, taking 3rd place.
A great day for Tech 2, no doubt about that. Record Point will be pretty chuffed with their effort as well, as Phil Robertson closes in on 4th position to add to the great start to the regatta he had yesterday. But they're not home yet, Jimmy.
Here we go, he's stuck on that treadmill once again. I don't think he's too worried about ID. He'll get across the finish line. You can see Neil Hunter there catching his breath.
Almost frustrated with himself there, Neil, for going for a swim, the Scotsman. Doesn't have Loch Ness monsters to worry about, but just a few friendly locals that we saw in the water the other day, the sharks. And tell me, Jimmy, as we look further afield towards where ID's coming from, do you think there'll be some choice words between Record Point and ID, particularly Ed Powys, after he got a feel for the machine there earlier in this race?
Yeah, such a tough situation. It's just a huge blind spot on that leeward bow there, and just so hard to know how close you are. Interesting clean made here. Really got it wicked up on the foils, and they're just smoking down the boundary there. So they're going to be eating into that ID lead, and maybe this race isn't over yet to see who gets the wooden spoon here in this race. But clean made opting for an early jibe. CJ will be happy with that, getting a big split. He's still pulling down that boundary.
Well, we know that Euroflex are home and hosed, but Cleanmade will be looking to throw down some good numbers, and ID will be looking to scramble home as well and assess I guess, the damage from losing those races on the first day.
Yeah, ID having a super tough regatta this week. Just not going their way. A lot of depth of talent on that boat, and I'm sure they'll regroup. They'll come out firing for the double points tomorrow, but
yeah, there's no doubt there's some serious credentials, huge pedigree on ID. They're superstars, and they'll burn brightly again, and I would imagine it won't take them long to get shimmering again as we check out CleanMade's progress on this, our final race in our Saturday session. Jimmy, double points tomorrow as well, of course. So now we're thinking about just psychological gains, psychological wins, because it's going to kick off again. It's going to ignite tomorrow with double points, and things can disappear and vanish very quickly.
yeah, you see Olivia sailing the boat really well there, getting through those jobs. A long way on the foils as she just pokes it through the finish line here.
A little apprehensive that she wasn't going to lay there, but still good humour aboard CleanMade. That's got to be one of the most fun boats to be on. They're always
Good job, Peeps.
giggling, laughing.
Didn't feel like a good job.
Yeah, look, spirits are high on the People's boat there. They're good for heaps. They're going to come back tomorrow, no worries.
Mate, that whole thing's a floppy jalopy.
A floppy jalopy.
Mate, you took off the stick on me.
Yeah, look, we know the best sailor in the world is the one having the most fun, and Olivia could be the candidate right there. She's absolutely loving it.
And Josh McKnight not far behind by the sounds of things. He's contemplating what he's going to have for dinner, maybe a sloppy Joe. He's already had a sloppy jalopy, apparently. We've had schnitzel on Euroflex. CleanMate, a fan of the sloppy jalopy.
Yeah, that's an interesting one from Joshy. Good to see how much fun they're having on these boats, flying around the inner harbour of the Gold Coast here with the results coming up.
And that's what they've got to show from it. Euroflex again, too good. They've won all 6 so far. Pavement roaring back into the contest, and less than a minute behind our front runner. Tech 2, another good effort from Luke Parkinson and the boys, and record points showing that they're here to play in the Gold Coast all weekend. Thank you very much. ID, CJ and the lads, 3 minutes 51. As we check out how that unfolds across the regatta to date. Across 6 regattas, a perfect 6 for Euroflex. They're on 36 points. Doesn't get better than that. What about that? Scores locked. Record points and Tech 2, 24 apiece. And CleanMade not far behind on 16. ID and Pavement, 1 point between the two of them. That'll disappear very quickly as we go to double points. But right now we double down to the water with Jack McCartney.
Thanks, Nick. That was an incredible day. I have to say I was a little apprehensive to start with that outgoing tide and all the action that was happening. It was pretty full on down here, but I believe that was some of the best racing we've seen so far. The Euroflex was still in front by a fair margin, but the battle between 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th was really tight. So great racing down here. The waters of Gold Coast have really produced.
Jack McCartney, the elbows were out today. Were you surprised to see, with growing confidence in these sailors, that they're willing to risk it a bit more for the biscuit?
Not surprised at all, Nick. I think they're starting to get the handle on the boat. You can see that they're all foil jibing, and you saw Liv at the end there. She's just coming on strong as well. So I think that tomorrow it's going to be full on, double points.
Jimmy, double points. There's a lot to like about the Sunday Supercharge. Plenty on the line as we look at our statistics and distance sailed again. Pavement sailing the least amount of track there.
Yeah, really interesting to see Pavement pull that in quite a lot. That's a very, very good sign for them going forward here. Getting that distance down is really important to getting the equation right around the track. And also Phil Robertson on record point. Not sailing the most distance and really pulling that back in with a fleet, and you can see how tight it is. Yeah,
it's translated to a great result for record point. In terms of average speed, though, that air time, again, Euroflex steaming it up there. More than 15.5 knots of boat speed across the entire course there. And that's interesting to see that there's really not much between CleanMade and Euroflex in terms of average speed, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's a really high average speed, and it just shows those foiling jibes how much they're paying off. These maximum speeds here, this is a sort of outlier in the results here, so Euroflex just getting it down the track a little bit faster than the rest of the boats. But interesting, you see there, Pavement, so that often correlates with a short distance is you're going a bit slower. So that all makes sense there with pavement, and that's an interesting tactic that's obviously worked well for them that race.
That's pretty impressive from Euroflex. I mean, those numbers, 28 knots virtually, that is seriously quick. And it's been some fast racing across the day, Jimmy, as well. Some really impressive markers laid down. More of that tomorrow, please?
Yeah, I think so. Look, Tech 2 and Record Point to this stage in Adelaide and Geelong haven't been able to stitch together a regatta. They've had great individual results but haven't put the whole package together. So here, seeing them locked in a battle for second, I think, you know, it's going to be a time for one of those two teams to really convert it to a series score and put the regatta results on the board this time.
Well, there you have it, another dominant day from Euroflex. They've really enjoyed their time in the Gold Coast sun. We hope you've enjoyed your time today as well. On behalf of Jimmy, myself and Jack on the water, thanks so much for your company. We'll see you tomorrow.